Hello everybody, this is Ben with another Minecraft video. Today I wanted to start a little mini-series. Normally I do one-shot tutorials, where I just show you how to build something small. This time around I thought I would change things up and do a series. The idea here is that we will work together to build something, a large-scale project that has a lot of redstone components to it. In this case, we're building an arena, where up to 4 different teams with several players each can fight each other. So for this episode, I'm going to show off how to build a auto-equipper. The idea is that all the players will be split into 4 teams. Now, each player of the team will have access to 8 different equipping stations, which allows you to have up to 8 different classes. So one player can be a warrior, another can be a wizard, or cleric, or barbarian, or whatever. So here you have an equipping station. You can see I'm not wearing any armor. I don't have any items. If I run into here, you can see I was given full armor, a bow, arrows, food, and a sword. So here you can see the equipper without the facade added. It's fairly compact at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 7 deep by 9 tall. As you can see over there, but I'll show it over here, you can put them fairly close together on the corners. Without them interfering with each other. The issue is basically putting them next to each other since they are quite wide. Though you could technically, instead of having a double chest here, you could have a single chest, or you can put the chest sideways and put them one block closer together. So we're going to start with our this ring of dispensers and droppers here. Now, I like to use droppers for most of these. If you have your choice between the two, unless you absolutely need a dropper for like splashing potions or equipping armor, you want to use a dropper just in case. They're more flexible on what you can give players. But you want this top one to be a dispenser. These blocks here, we're going to put redstone on top of them, so they have to be a block you can put redstone on, so they can't be a glass block, for example. You can color code these if you want to have certain classes, or even if you want to have just team colors here, that would be good. Finally, you want to put your pressure plate on the bottom here. So we're done with this, now we can move on to the back. Next, I put the hoppers. I do this because hoppers are fairly important. For stuff like arrows and food, the 9 slots provided by the dropper dispenser is pretty good, but for things like bows and arrows that don't stack, having only 9 slots is very limiting. So unless you want to keep having to stop to refill, you're going to want probably double chests of everything or more. And because I don't want to wind up wiring this up and not being able to, and then having to tear everything out because I didn't leave a space for hoppers, I put the hoppers in first. Oop, that is not going to be, okay, then we put one on top here. And then we're going to make a second array of hoppers here. So, or should I say droppers? And we don't want one there. We don't put one there because you can't put a hopper leading into this one. If you really wanted one there, you could just do a stackable item. These will only fire once, so a stackable item, if you have 64 times the 9, that's more than enough for quite a while of playing. I'm kind of OCD though, so I don't like to... I like to have boxes for everything, chests for everything. That's just how I roll. So we're going to hook these up the same way as we did below. These top ones are going to go out that way. These bottom ones are going to go out this way. And this is going to come out twice. So now we can move on to the redstone. Okay, so wiring this up is pretty straightforward. We want each of these to be directly powered by a clock that we're going to build. So we're going to put redstone on these 3 blocks. We're going to cut off the redstone with any solid block. You can put redstone on a hopper by pressing shift and then clicking. You can do that to put redstone on most things that will open up a graphical interface like a furnace or a workbench. Okay, then we're going to connect the redstone up like that. Up here we're going to do something similar. We're going to have redstone like this. Oops, that's actually reversed of what we want. We want these hoppers to be on top, going in, and we want these hoppers here to go out. Like that. That way we can put a line of redstone going in here and a line of redstone going around here, which will power everything. And then we can connect these up. Now, hoppers are transparent blocks, so they will not cut off redstone. So that's good to know. So now if we provide power to this line, it will fire all of these repeaters here. Next, we need to build a timer to fire off our dispensers rapidly. I was having trouble with this for some time. Originally, I was just going to use the regular comparator clock. Basically, if you take a comparator and put it into subtraction mode and feed the signal back to itself, it will make a very quick clock. This worked well in this configuration. The issue is that when you extend the signal out, it doesn't fire the dispenser over here. You could power the dispenser so that it will fire because of redstone updates, but I really didn't want it. Doing that is a nightmare when you have so many hoppers, because if you power one of these hoppers, you are going to shut it down, so I try to avoid that when possible. Another issue with using a dispenser or a comparator is that if you put a comparator into a block and you power the comparator, it will fire rapidly. It's actually fairly slow, but another issue is that it will also shut down dispensers around it because this is now being powered. And that became an issue on this one. Originally I was going to use a comparator just going in here because I don't really care how slow it fires because it only has to fire, 5 or 6 items. But the issue was it was powering this hopper, which shut it down. And so none of the items distributed went through, so I ended up scrapping that idea. So instead I went to the drawing board and I dug out one of my old designs, which is a simple clock like this. Basically you have 2 repeaters that go around in a circle real fast. And you have this piston which allows you to shut it off. Otherwise there is no way to shut this clock off. You'd have to actually break redstone to do that. The trick to this clock is that you need a 1-tick pulse to start it, so if you take a piston facing up and you put a repeater going into it, it will create a 1-tick output. Because basically it gets powered, the piston extends, cutting off power. So this is the design I ended up using. So I'll build that over here. Okay. So I'm going to have my shut-off switch be this block here. So I'm going to have my repeater pointing to it and then away from it. And then I'm going to put 2 lines of redstone here. Next, I am going to go out 3 and put a sticky piston there. And actually, I'm going to make this a different material just so it's easy to distinguish. Let's go with this emeralds. Like that. So, what I want to happen is when the time runs out, when you step on that pressure plate, I want this to extend. Let's see here. When you step on the pressure plate, I want this to extend and activate the clock for a certain amount of time so that you can get your arrows and food. And then I want it to, when the time's up, retract to shut off the clock. It's actually quite funny that the hardest part of designing this was to figure out this component here. This is the system here takes a pressure switch signal and turns it into a pulse of a certain length. So this is two components. First, it's a rising edge detector, which detects when this line of redstone is powered. That feeds into a pulse lengthener. So I'll show them both off. Okay. So when I step on this pressure plate, this becomes powered, which causes this redstone torch to turn on for 1 tick. So you'll see that here if you look at the torch or that lamp, on for 1 tick. And this is a fairly basic design. I got it off of the wiki, the Minecraft wiki. Next we have a simple pulse lengthener. I tried some fancy stuff, but in the end this was the most reliable and compact way of doing it. So you just have 2 non-sticky pistons pushing a redstone block back and forth. So when this piston is powered by that 1 tick pulse, it pushes the redstone block over here. That powers this line of repeaters, which eventually pushes the block back, turning it off. So all you need to do is connect your whatever you want to power to this dust here, which will be powered by this block. And that's really all there is to that. Let me show that off. Let's use another lamp. So when we step on this, it will be powered for more than 1 tick. And of course, you can lengthen that time by adding more repeaters. So that's what we're going to build over here. So we're going to draw our power from this block here, which is powered by the pressure plate on top. You could grab the power from either side of this. It doesn't matter. So we're going to make a shape like this. Redstone, 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 and a repeater at 3 ticks. Now on the repeater side you want to put dust, and on the other side you want to put a torch and then another torch there. Now this is our 1 tick pulse. Now we want to put our non-sticky piston, I already have one, like so. It's going to push a block out. And we want to put another non-sticky piston facing that way. So now if we click on here, that should push it out. Cool. Okay. Now we want to make a torch tower. Let me get out of pink. We're going to go 2 over from this one, and we're going to go up. Okay. Very good. So this is going to be the off state. When this block is pushed over here, we want it to power this block here, which will turn everything on. We're then going to put 8 repeaters at 4 ticks. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can add more repeaters, of course, to if you want to give people more arrows or whatever. I find about 45, 47 is usually enough. Okay, so now this will, hopefully, we did this correctly, cause it to extend, which will power that, which will push it back, and turn everything off. So now we just have to connect up here and up here to the torches, and we will be done. So up here is fairly straightforward. We're just going to kind of connect these two ends together. This torch will, of course, power on when this tower inverts, and that will cause all of these to fire once. Down here, we want to grab our power from this torch, which will turn on. That torch will power this piston directly, which will cause it to extend. And then here we want a repeater going into a sticky piston with a block on top. And we are going to use emerald again because we are fancy. Which will then power this, which will turn this clock on. So if we test this out again, and there we go. So now we just need to add our chests, add some items, and then test it out. Another advantage of this layout is that you don't have to use trap chests. I don't like using trap chests when there is a lot of redstone around, because then you have to worry about setting off things prematurely. Especially when you have hoppers right next to redstone like this. Trap chests would not work very well there. Now for a lot of the items, they... Ooh, come on, there we go. For a lot of items and for a lot of casual games, you don't need a double chest of stuff. You can probably get away with just a single chest on top, or maybe no chest at all. But I'm building this arena with the presumption that this is going to be a oft-used entertainment venue, so to speak. So I want to make sure there's a lot of storage for your armor and weaponry and bows and things. So now I'm going to fill these up, and we can test it out to see how it works. So these are all filled up with our various items. I don't think you really need the food dispenser, to be quite honest with you. I don't think you're going to be fighting that long to actually need it, but it's one of the few things that you would need in multiples. Maybe you could use ender pearls or something here instead. Okay, so as you can see, no items, no armor. I'm going to walk in here. got my sword, got my food, got my arrows, got my armor, and I am ready to run out there and kill somebody. For decoration, you can pretty much put whatever facade you want on here. As you can see, this is a perfectly flat front. You do need to put something here and here, of course, to keep this item from being shot out. But otherwise, you're free to put whatever facade you want on front here. Another issue is that there isn't really any place to put redstone lamps here without it either interfering with something or shutting off one of these hoppers. So, unfortunately, no redstone lamps in this area, though you could put them in the floor or the ceiling. So that'll do it for me today. The automatic equipper is a very useful thing to have for not only arenas, but any custom map where you want to, or custom game where you want to equip players with something quickly. Join me next time when we add a scoring system to the arena to track player deaths. So until then, have a good day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.